What was the dumbest thing you thought as a child? I used to think that once you finished a grade in primary school you became smarter than the teacher of that grade. I used to believe that night is brought about by clouds, dark ones, of course. Never felt the need to clarify this with anybody, it was an obvious fact. I used to think trees made wind. Trees move, wind happens, can't explain that. Edit, my highest rated comment is about how dumb of a kid I was. Thanks for the silver, kind stranger. Tips Fedora/S. That if you drink while peeing you'll keep peeing until you stop drinking. Yeah, I can already see the mess it's be. I'm not, or rather I didn't, cause I didn't want to infinitely pee. When I was really young, I was convinced I was pregnant, I'm a man BTW, with a baby cat named Bridget. My family decided to see how long I would believe this, so they never told me how ridiculously impossible that was. I went on believing it for about 5 months. That's how long little me thought cat pregnancy lasted, and then when the baby never came, I went to my mom and asked when Bridget would be born. She finally told me that boys can't get pregnant and humans can give birth to cats. I was traumatized, little me was so excited to be a cat father, and then it was ripped away from me. I was such a stupid kid. Edit, since so many people keep asking. No, I never ended up getting a cat, and no I didn't fuck a cat lamau. This would have been around 6 years old, and I was raised Catholic and thought God put babies in your stomach, so I thought he put a cat in me. And as for the name, I just really liked the name Bridget, and I still do. Go ahead. Throw your vote away. Kodos. When I was a young kid, maybe between 5 to 9, my dad took me to the tiny grass runway airport in my town, and we went on a short plane ride in a small Cessna around the valley. My dad sat in the back, and I was up front with the pilot. While we taxied off the ramp and out to the runway, I was given permission to move the yoke. I thought I was steering the aircraft the whole way. I told my mom that I'd taxied the plane. In school I told my class that I'd taxied the plane. In fact, it was so strong a memory that I grew up remembering the memory without evaluating the experience. I was home on leave from a Naval Aviation Squadron when I was talking about that flight with my dad, and I was thinking about it. And I had this long pause. And I said, "Holy shit, Dad, I just realized that I wasn't steering that Cessna." My father laughed his ass off. Why did you realize you weren't steering the plane? Is a yoke some kind of steering mechanism that only works in the air and they have a different way to steer on the ground? That a blowjob meant you blow air in a boy's general direction. Thanks to my older siblings for making me believe that one lol. I knew it was more than in a general direction, but I did think the phrase was fairly literal. Poor first boyfriend. This was something that came up in middle school. Long story short, a boy comes back from the bathroom during a school event. School was not in session but people were on the grounds, I want to say it was a basketball game, and proclaims he got a BJ and stated, "I don't know why my dad makes a big deal about it. It didn't feel good at all. She just blew the whole time and I never got hard." I thought that there would be a baby inside every girl's stomach as soon as she is born, and inside that baby's stomach too there would be a tiny baby. The cycle goes on, and that the baby keeps growing as we grow, and after getting married the doctors will cut the stomach and take the baby out to make space for another baby. That if people are going to study something they just sit in a circle with other students and think about what they want to do. As soon as they find out, they are done and they can leave. I like the way younger you thought. Though we'd have too many Lego engineers if that was the method. Grandparents were assigned to families. Like, I didn't know my grandma was my dad's mom. I don't know what I thought, but I remember being at my great-grandmother's funeral, and asking my mom why my grandma was crying. When she replied she is sad because her mother died, I was like head explode, so that's why we had to go visit her all the time. I just assumed she was this random old lady and I didn't like to visit her, because I couldn't be my rambunctious chatty little 4-year-old self. My mom is a shusher. I then had to ask about all of our other relatives. I was 4 when my great-grandma died. I remember sitting with my grandma and she explained that great-grandma was her mom, so that kinda helped me understand why she was so sad. But then I asked, "Are you going to get a new mommy now?" That made her laugh, so at least I was able to comfort her just a little. I remember watching the movie Cocoon with my grandparents. I could not have been more than 4. For some reason I deduced that in order to become adults, children had to die in these pool cocoons and be reborn old. I freaked my cousins out and had a whole group of kids crying at a holiday party over our impending doom. Ruined Christmas pictures that year.